using Excel. But before we start that, I'd love to know and hear where you are joining us from. So I'm Chukwemeka and I'm joining us from Lagos, Nigeria. So just put in the chat box your name and where you're joining us from so that we can get to interact with each other easily. All right, so let's do that, immediately so that we can start the session instantly. All right. Okay. Chukwebuka from Lekki, amazing. Let's keep it coming. Okay. Hi, Elijah. Please do you mind making my second device a co-host as well? All right. You have amazing people on the call. We have Sapsiru from Sierra Leone. We have Adeni from Nigeria. We have Janet from Kenya. We have James from Kenya. We have Debsola from UK. We have Gift from Ogun. We have Lima from Ghana. We have Tilola from Lekki. Amazing. So this is going to tell you and show you that we have people across the globe joining this session. I will have Oluseyi from Canada. And that's one thing that our sessions also promises is that you get to have the networking ability to interact with people across the globe. Okay, so I also love to know if today is the first time you are joining us. So if today is the first time you're joining us on the call, just drop a 1 in the chat box so that I will know how to interact with you, right? So just drop a 1 so that I will know how to interact. If you've been on subsequent session, you can drop a 2, you can drop a 3, you can drop anything as your spirit leads, but I want to see it coming. All right, fantastic. I can see a couple of ones, which means we have people that today is their first time of being here. So Ibrahim, we have to tailor this down to the barest beginners initial stage, okay? So that people will get to understand how they can build and deploy your first predictive model using Excel. Okay, so let's get right into it. We're still expecting a couple of people to join us, but right now we have people from Kenya, we have people from Nigeria, we have people from Ghana, we have people from UK, we have people from Canada. So I believe that we have met the quota, right? So by virtue of having all these different countries presented here, I think we can start the session. So first of all, who are we, right? Who are we? We are Analytics, right? And it's an edtech, educational technology company that helps the Africans and the Black community to get into the tech ecosystem. So what we've done is to lower the entry barrier. It can be possible for you and I that don't have any technical background, you and I that don't have any engineering skill to be able to enter into the tech ecosystem, right? And our services range across a couple of courses: data analytics, business analysis, HR analytics, Scrum, cybersecurity, data engineering, financial analytics. But basically, we are here tonight to talk about full stack data science, right? And that is also part of our offerings. And we have amazing facilitators joining us from amazing places like Google, Sahara, Deloitte, KPMG, and our students also work in these amazing places. And how have you been able to do this, right? So what it is that over the years, it's easier for people to learn with case study than for them to learn theoretically. So that's what we've tried to do at Analytics, to make sure that all our curriculum are built with case studies and they are all beginner friendly, which means even if you study political science, if you study the English language, if you study that's totally non-code related, we can be able to help you transition into the tech ecosystem, right? And there are amazing people that are behind this exact initiative, right? We have Adeza Suleiman, and we also have Efemina Ibro. So Adeza Suleiman is the founder of Analytics, and he has over a decade experience as a data analytics expert. He's worked across the globe. He's worked in UK, he's worked in Canada, and he has worked in consulting, professional services, edtech, energy, automobile, and across so many sectors of the economy. And personally, he has trained over 10,000 participants, right? And we also have Efemina. Efemina is also a data scientist, right? And he worked in UK, US, Africa, Canada, and he also functioned as a business intelligence developer. He also has over a decade experience as a data scientist. Now, what do these two people have in common, right? They do not have any technical experience. Adeza started a management consultancy as a female, but today they've been able to transition to become known individual in the tech ecosystem when it comes to data, and they've been able to found something that is also amazing. So if you are still wondering whether you that do not have any technical background can be able to transition, I'm here to tell you that it is possible. Right? Personally, I do not have any sort of technical background too, but I was also able to transition. And with me tonight is our amazing facilitator, Ibrahim, the only man that devises. All right. So, Ibrahim, do you mind saying something to the people that will have on the call? Hi, Ibrahim.
Hi everyone. My name is Ibrahim. Yeah. And I am a senior data associate at Analytics. Okay. So I handle the creation of courses and syllabuses, in the data science track. And how do I do that? Or what is the confirmation of my abilities? Okay, I have 5 years of industrial experience in data science, various sectors. I have worked in various sectors, whether it is fast moving consumer goods, even music, consulting, and advanced research. The extent of my work in this industry has often spanned not just data analysis, but even core integral machine learning. So yes, I will be the facilitator taking it today. And on back to you, Chukwemeka.
Yeah, thank you so much. So Ibrahim did do justice to who he is. He is an amazing person, right? So if Ibrahim teach science and you do not understand it, then we'll have to go back to the roots and to know where the problem is coming from. All right. So personally, I am Chukwemeka, the COO of Analytics, and I'll be in the shadows backing up Ibrahim when the need arises. I have close to a decade experience in data analysis, control and data protection, financial modeling with the bank. I've been okay. All right. Sorry about that. I think I was muted. Yeah, so there are things that we will be touching on tonight. And number one aspect of it is basically practical, right? We are going to learn what you've said. We are going to use Excel to build and deploy predictive model. And that is what Ibrahim is going to walk us through. So it's very important that we stay tuned and be able to understand everything that he has to offer us tonight. The number two thing that we're going to be having is also how can you become a data scientist, right? How can you secure a job as a data scientist? We'll be handling that also tonight. Then over a couple of years, we've heard people say all these things are impossible, right? So we're also here to demystify that impossibility and make it possible for you to see that there are people that have transitioned from no code area. There are people that have transitioned from little knowledge area into the tech ecosystem. And you are going to be seeing all those success stories tonight. And by virtue of you being on the call, we also have a special offer for you. So it's very important that you stay tuned till the end so that you will be able to get everything that we have to offer, right? And my colleagues also will be dropping the attendance in the chat box. So it's very important that you put in your attendance so that at the end of the session, you will get the slide and you also get the recording. So please stay tuned while Ibrahim walk us through everything that we need to know regarding building and deploying predictive model using Excel. Hi, Ibrahim, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Chukwemeka, for kickstarting today's session. Right. Okay. I think I'll take over sharing. Right. So I could get this. Yes. Okay. Okay. Right. Practical session. Everybody, please adjust yourself. I want everybody to adjust yourself. You are going on a ride. And please, Chukwemeka, as always, you have my back. If there's any issues with my audio, just give me a thumbs up. If there's any issues with that, or a thumbs down. Okay, for the rest of us, buckle your seatbelts. Let's get started with our practical session for today. right? So what are we going to be doing today? What are we going to be doing today? We are going to be, getting started with Excel. We are going to be having a first look at the software. Most of you, you typed 1 in the chat. I like that. I'm starting people from ground zero. So we are going to be, getting started with Excel. We'll have our first look at the software, and then we'll have some concept discussion. The topic for today is what? The topic for today is building predictive models with Excel, right? Building and deploying, right? So we need to have to lay the foundation, before we move into clicking and clacking of our keyboards, right? We are going to want to have this, foundational discussion on what predictive analytics is, what models are, how we even evaluate model performances, and finally the model we are going to be using specifically for today. Also, then when we are done with this concept discussion, we are now going to move on to I call it the final boss. We are going to move on to the final boss, which is creating our first predictive model in Excel. Okay, so that will be the bulk of our practical session today, right? Okay, so let's get started. First look at Excel. Right? Excel is a powerful spreadsheet application used for organizing and analyzing and presenting data. Excel is a powerful spreadsheet application used for organizing, analyzing, and presenting data. The number one, spreadsheet application we must have heard of Excel. If you haven't heard of Excel, don't worry, but majority of us would have heard of Excel. This what the software is, that the software exists, right? Now, what are some of the key features that makes Excel as powerful as it is, right? One of these key features is the grid structure. The way Excel was designed, it was designed to be able to hold data in cells, and these cells themselves are makes up part of rows and columns. Now, from this perspective, you'll be able to see data, grouped, in rows or grouped in columns, right? Another key feature of Excel, is the formulas and the functions, right? These formulas and functions, they often enable you to perform automatic calculations, right? You are working with data. You are going to be working with data. Simple things like what is the average, simple things like what is the sum total, right? You are going to want to be able to compute those. Let me use a real life example, right? Let's assume you took a census of an entire school. You took a census of an entire school and you got the age, right? And then somebody asked you, what is the average age of the students in the school? Right? You went around the school, you asked every student for their name, you got their age, and you counted every student, right? The first question you were asked, right, what is the average age of students in the school, right? Now, Excel, if you are lucky enough to have this data in Excel, what that would mean is that you have at your fingertips, functions like sum, average, and if to help answer those questions, right? What is the average age of students? All you would have to do is go to the age column, and use the average function. Don't worry about what this means now, but just know that when you collect data and you put it in Excel, you have the power of some calculations and functions to be able to generate insights from your data. Another key feature of Excel is the charts and graphs. Excel offers a plethora of charts and graphs for you to be able to leverage on to visualize your data instantly. I'll repeat that sentence. Excel offers a plethora of charts and graphs that enables you that you can leverage on to visualize data instantly. And with Excel, you can visualize instantly and have access to a variety of chart types such as bar, line, pie, and scatter plots. Right. Another key feature, one we are going to actually be using today, is the data analysis tools. We are actually going to be using this particular one today, right? Some of these tools are sorting, filtering, pivot tables, or summarizing data, right? But other than that, we have some other tools like t-test, p-test, correlation, and covariance, right? Several data analysis tools that every data analyst and scientist should have with them 24/7. If a farmer has a hoe, if a farmer has a cutlass, you as a data scientist, you should have your data analysis tools. And Excel is the one-stop shop for these tools. One of the last key features I will be discussing is data validation. You can, Excel gives you an opportunity to ensure that the accurate data are the only type of data present in your Excel spreadsheet. If you want, you could go ahead to ensure accurate data, by setting rules for cell input. So these are some of the key features. These are some of the key features Excel offers to data analysts, to data scientists, right? Okay, so let's go on to predictive analytics and models. Predictive analytics and models. Okay, so let me start this. I want us to engage in the chat now. I want to start on this. So let me use this example and give me your response in the chat. So let us assume it's rained on Monday. Let us assume it rained on Tuesday. Let us assume it was cloudy on Wednesday. Let us assume the cloud reduced on Thursday. So for those 4 days, I just told you the weather reports. I said it rained heavily on Monday. It rained lightly on Tuesday. It was heavy. The clouds were heavy on on Wednesday. And by Thursday, there was light clouds. So what do you think the weather will be on Friday? I want people to say in the chat. I will say it again. Heavy rain on Monday, light rain on Tuesday, heavy clouds on Wednesday, but no rain on Wednesday, light clouds on Thursday, and no rain at all. So what do you think the weather will be on Friday? I would want people in the chat to tell me what they think the weather will be on Friday. Let me go ahead and look at my heavy cloud, sunny day, right? Benjamin said sunny day. Now, you see that if I just ask the question, what will be the weather on Friday? That is abrupt. Like nobody can, just wake up and say what the weather will be on Friday without prior or historical information. That was why the question was phrased, in such a way. I provided you data on what happened on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So you see that some of you are already participating in the roles of data analyst without even realizing it. Some of you are already participating in the roles of data analyst without realizing it. Samuel said heavy cloud. Benjamin said sunny day. Daniel said heavy rain. Aramide said clear weather. And Samuel Peter said heavy rain. Now, I am sure all of you came to your decision by looking at the historical data, and that's what predictive analytics is, right? In a nutshell, with predictive analytics, you want to predict future outcome or behavior, but you have to, in order to do that, you have to use historical data and statistical algorithms. Historical data and statistical algorithms. Okay, so what are the key components of predictive analytics? The first step in predictive analytics: data collection and cleaning. Data collection and cleaning. You see that my question, I gave you data, right? If I was, if it was a real weather forecast situation, right, I won't give you just for 5 days. I'll probably give you for like 3 years. Every day for 3 years, I will give you the weather conditions every day for 3 years. Or you would need to go and collect the weather conditions every day for 3 years, right? That is data collection. Now, some days the weather recorder, the person recording the weather, might have forgotten. So those days might be empty. You need to clean those days off. You need to remove those days off, right? Because they're empty. No information is coming on that day, right? But it's part of our data that we collected. So you would need to clean this particular part of your data off. So that's the first component of predictive analytics: collection and cleaning. And Excel helps a lot with that, right? Some of these data come in different files: Excel files, CSV files, TSV files. With using a Microsoft Excel, you can tap into various sources, data sources, and ensure data quality through cleaning and pre-processing. So as I'm going through this component of predictive analytics, I'll tie it back to Excel for this our foundational discussion, right? So the next step is exploratory data analysis. Now you have collected the weather for the past 3 years. One thing you want to do is, okay, what is the average rainfall every week? What is the average rainfall every week? And that amount is that let us plot it. Now, I remember I told you that one of the key features of Microsoft Excel is the charts and the graphs you can use. So when you have your data in Excel, you can say, okay, what is the key feature? What is the rainfall amount looking like across the years, right? Across every week. What is the average rainfall amount? You can also use charts and graphs with Excel to plot and visualize. Maybe you have like a line plot that will show you how the rainfall varies across years. So that's the next step in your predictive analytics. Exploratory data analysis. You want to understand the data through summary statistics. Like I said, average rainfall. Visualization is another way you can understand the data, like I say, through charts and graphs. And finally, identifying patterns or relationship. Who have noticed that is a joke out to crack. Now, who have noticed that rain doesn't fall on Sunday, sun shines the most on Sunday? Who have noticed that, right? Sun shines the most on Sunday, right? Although it was not sunny today, but it's just a slight joke. So you can also discover things like that, patterns that, okay, is it actually true that sun usually shines the most on Sunday, or there's more frequency of sunlight on Sunday than any other day? Is that a true fact? You can go ahead and identify those patterns or relationships, right? Using Excel, you can look at correlation, you can look at regression analysis to be able to uncover these patterns and relationships. And when you are done with that, you now move to the important centerpiece component, which is predictive modeling. Predictive modeling, right? You have collected your data, you have cleaned your data, you have your Excel file, you've done EDA, you have summarized, you have visualized, you have identified. Now you are in a good position to move to predictive modeling. To move to what? Predictive modeling. Now, in predictive modeling, what you do is you use mathematics, right, and Excel. You build mathematical models, right, and make predictions based on input variables. So you use machine learning algorithms to make predictions based on input variables, right? You use mathematical algorithms, you use statistical algorithms. There are slight differences between each and every one of these type of algorithms, but the major purpose is to be able to make predictions based on input variables. So for example, let's go back to your responses, right? When you were coming up with your responses, right, you looked at the data that I gave to you. I know somebody's approach would have been, okay, it was somebody approach would have been, oh, it was raining heavy on Monday, it was slightly raining on Tuesday, it was heavy cloudy on Wednesday, and it was slight cloudy on Thursday. Somebody approach might be like, oh, this thing is going in a circle. Somebody's approach in the audience might have been, this thing is going in a circle. Okay, so what if I just restart my circle and say that, okay, on Thursday we would have rain. Somebody might say it is going in the circle, but it is not going in the normal direction, but to go like this and then come back in the other way. So, right, while you have slight cloud, the next thing should now be heavy cloud, then slight rain, then heavy rain. So many of us should have had many approach we used to come to the answer. Somebody might just say, let me average everything together. Okay, it was raining on Monday, it was raining on Tuesday, it was raining on Wednesday and Thursday, right? So by Friday, let me average it. Let me say slight rain. Somebody might have had that approach. So there are going to be different approaches to make predictions. Same way, there are going to be different mathematical models and statistical algorithms and machine learning algorithms to make predictions. There is not just one way to do things in predictive modeling. There are multiple ways to do things in predictive modeling. And the beauty is that, these multiple ways, Excel gives you the opportunity to be able to simulate most of them. Okay, the last is model evaluation and validation. Now, okay, let me now give the answer. Okay, I told you on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Now, by Friday, it was sunny. By Friday, it was sunny. Now, what I will do is I will go to the chart and I will see those that got sunny. Okay, so Benjamin said sunny. Okay, so Aram said clear weather, which I would also take to be sunny. And let me see. Let me look. Okay, so yeah, so you can see that out of all the answers we got here, 2 people said sunny. How did I how are we going to evaluate now? We are going to evaluate using something called accuracy. You are taking a guess out of several options. Which option is the most accurate? Aramide and Benjamin. So you see that let's say I'm looking for a weather forecast man. I would obviously enter Benjamin's DM and I'll enter Aramide's DM. I won't enter Daniel's DM. Daniel Musa said it's heavy rain. I won't enter Daniel Musa's DM, right? Okay. But I will enter Aramide's DM and I'll say, Aramide, I need a weather forecast man, right? And that's how it is in real life too. We evaluate people in real life too, if you observe, right? If you want to get somebody to work in an engineering firm or in a banking firm, one of the first steps is you come and sit down for a test. You come and sit down for a test, right? 10 questions, 20 questions, 100 questions, answer. And at the end of the day, what do? They evaluate you. They They look at how many you got correct, how many you got wrong. And from there, they select, the best performing candidates. Predictive analytics is like that also. Remember I said there are many machine learning algorithms. There are many statistical algorithms you can use. Remember I said that there are many statistical algorithms you can use. If you use more than one, or let's say you use 5 statistical algorithms, most of the time, you just need the best performing one. This is the last step that helps you make that decision. Model evaluation and validation. Here you will assess the model's performance using metrics like accuracy, mean absolute deviation, and recall. And then you go ahead to validate the model's predictive power. So in accuracy, you can say, oh, we tested the model 10 times, and after that 10 times, it was correct 9 times. 9 over 10, 90%. Oh, we asked the model to predict people's salary, right, from other other information they gave them, and the model was able to predict it, with a 10% error margin. That's or with an error margin of 10. That's mean absolute deviation, right? I will discuss more on mean absolute deviation because that is what we are going to be using in this practical session to evaluate the models we are going to create. So look at this key component of predictive analytics. I want you to understand something. We are going to go through each of these steps. We are going to go through each of these steps, not extensively as we would in a traditional class, but we will get just enough to be bold enough to say, I did something of tangible value today. Right. So let's move on. What are the benefits of predictive analytics? I know I've been saying, components of predictive analytics, what it means, right? So what are the actual benefits, right? So let's go back to the same example I gave everybody. Let's go back to the same example I gave everybody, right? Let's assume we have picked Aramide and we have picked Benjamin as our weather forecast men, right? Let's make that assumption, right? Now, let's say I want to go out on Saturday. Right? I want to plan my wedding. Okay. Peace, don't worry, I will break it down for you further now. Let's say I want to go out on Saturday, right? And I want to plan my wedding on a Saturday. I don't know which Saturday. I will call Aramide and I will call who? I will call who was my second correct guesser. That's it, clear weather. The charts are going up and down. I need to bring it out. This was Benjamin. Yeah. So Aramide, I'll call Aramide and Benjamin. I'll tell them, please, I have 2 Saturdays. I have this Saturday and next Saturday. Which of the Saturdays do you think rain will fall, given the other days, right? I will give them the other days and I will ask them, right? And what will they tell me? Aramide will say, okay, plan your wedding this Saturday. So good on Benjamin. Tell me, plan your wedding this Saturday, right? So with that, now what have I done? Because I can now, in some sort of way, understand what will happen in the future, right? I can now make certain plans. This is one of the benefits of predictive analytics, right? Because you can now predict what will most likely happen, a period of time from now, you can go ahead and be more strategic. In what you plan. So what are the benefits of predictive analytics and models? Business insights. When you're running a business, you want to most of the time provide actionable insights for decision making and your strategy. Like I use my wedding example. Let's say I'm a wedding planner now. This time around now, I'm a wedding planner. Aramide's and Benjamin's insights would help me make a decision as to when to plan my weddings, right? They know the weather best. They know how to predict the weather, right? They are my model. They are my statistical models in this case, right? And they know how to predict the weather, right? They will be the ones to provide information for me to use to be able to make better decisions, right? Okay, they both tell me it's going to rain this Saturday. It's not going to rain next Saturday. Move the wedding to that Saturday, right? So something like that. Businesses work in the similar manner, right? Businesses use machine learning models, use statistical algorithms, right? Predictive analytics to be able to provide actionable insights for decision making. Another example is risk mitigation. Helping identifying and mitigating potential risk is another benefit of predictive analytics and models. The third is efficiency. If you know how the future is going to turn out, you can allocate resources. So one of the projects that was done by students were to be able to predict the fluctuation of naira and dollar, to be able to make that predictions. Can they create a predictive model that can anticipate the prices of change in naira versus dollars, right? And if you are able to create a model that can do just that, if you are able to create a model that can do just that, what do you think will happen? You'll be more efficient. You will be more efficient. Businesses will be more efficient, right? Businesses will know when to move their currencies and so on. So the decision you make, or the decision you make, right, from your model's predictions can help you be more efficient. So these are some of the benefits of predictive analytics and models. So use cases, there are a lot of areas where predictive analytics is being used, but 3 of these are healthcare, finance, and marketing. Healthcare, finance, and marketing, right? You observe that you go to YouTube, and let's say before you were searching for perfumes that you wanted to buy, and then you go to YouTube, and then you see that they give you an ad. The ad is on a perfume ad, right? How do you think that happened? It was campaign targeting. Predictive analytics is the backbone of that. With predictive analytics, they can target several people that would be more likely to purchase the product, and then campaign and market to those individuals. So this is one of the core areas you see predictive analytics in our day-to-day. Okay, so these are some of the benefits and use cases of predictive analytics. So let's look at what I've talked about so far. We've looked at Excel, We have looked at predictive analytics. I've looked at the benefits. Now, let's go into our practical session workflow. Okay, let us go into our practical session workflow. So, okay, let's take a breather. We have done the foundational discussion. We have looked at what Excel is. We have looked at what predictive analytics is. Now, let's set up our workflow. The first thing we are going to do in today's practical session is we are going to look at data. We are going to look at the data collection and cleaning. We are going to look at the data, right? Now, I'll be tying everything I've said so far to this workflow. We're going to look at our data. We are now going to remove test sample because in the future, we are going to test our data. After we are done modeling, we are going to test our model, pardon me. So the first step is take a look at the data. The next step is set up visualization, which is what? Analysis, data analysis, right? So we're going to do a bit of visualization, and then we are going to move to what? To modeling. We are going to move to modeling. We are going to set up linear regression model, right? Linear regression model. And then we are going to move on to evaluating our model, right? Remember, we said the model evaluation and validation. We are going to evaluate our model using, this is not MAD like the Indian movie MAD. No, this is not that kind of MAD. This is another type of MAD, right? This is the mean absolute deviation type of MAD, right? So if you are thinking this is MAD and Tufan, please do not think that this is another type of MAD, right? This is mean absolute deviation, short for MAD. Okay, so last, we are now going to save our linear regression model, and then we are going to apply it to this test sample. See this test sample here that we removed. We are now going to apply our model to it to say, okay, is this model actually working? So, for example, I cannot bring Aramide and test him more. Is Aramide actually a good weather forecast person, or was he just lucky the first time? So that's exactly what we're going to be doing here with our linear regression model. Okay, so it's some people are saying they just joined and they missed the foundation, right? Okay, so let me reiterate, give a 3 minutes reiteration bonus, right? Let me just use that word. Give you a 3 minutes reiteration period. Let me reiterate everything I've said so far before we move to Excel. Okay, so what have I said so far? We've looked at what Microsoft Excel is. We talked about how it is a powerful spreadsheet application used for organizing, analyzing, and presenting data. We've discussed some key features. We said Microsoft Excel allows you to organize your data in rows, columns using cells. We've said Microsoft Excel provides formulas and functions to you. We've said with Microsoft Excel, you can leverage charts and graphs. You can use charts and graphs to visualize data instantly. And there's a variety of charts. There's the bar chart, line chart, pie chart, and scatter plots. What else did we talk about? We talked about another key feature, the data analysis tools and the data validation. We talked about two key features again, the data analysis tools and the data validation. Oh, Aramide is a she. Okay. Pardon me, Aramide. Pardon me, Aramide. Pardon me. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for that correction. Okay. So data validation, another key feature using Excel, right? So we can ensure data accuracy by setting rules for cell input. Okay. So this is somebody. This was what we first did. We looked at Excel and then we discussed predictive analytics. We discussed predictive analytics. We talked about how predictive analytics uses historical data and statistics to predict future outcomes of behavior. We discussed the 4 phases that usually occurs in predictive analytics: data collection and cleaning, where we collect our data from various sources and go ahead to clean it. We talked about exploratory data analysis, where we understand the data through summary statistics, visualizations, and patterns and relationships that we can identify. The 3rd phase is the predictive modeling phase, where we use those statistical algorithms to make predictions based on input variables, right? Don't worry about the big grammar. When you do the practical session, you are going to understand it way much better. And finally, the last phase is the model evaluation and validation, where we assess models' performance using metrics like accuracy, mean absolute deviation, and therefore we can validate the model's predictive power, right? So I'm guessing you must have joined in around here for people that came in just now. So where we're discussing the benefits of predictive analytics and the use case of predictive analytics, right? So you can go ahead and read up on this part. It's just basic understanding to apply here. And finally, we looked at our workflow. Okay. So the next thing we are going to do right about now is move to Excel, right? Enough talking. I say enough talking. Yes, we are going to now get our hands dirty with Excel. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is come over to my Microsoft Excel, and you should be here with me. You should be here with me. Let me go ahead and adjust this to be better for everybody to see clearly. I will take this up. Okay, so yes. Okay, so concepts discussion, like this is everything we just talked about. Fine, this is everything we just talked about, and this is our workflow. This is our workflow over here. So this is our workflow over here, and then this is the case study. So these two I have talked about extensively. Now I'm going to discuss the case study. I am going to discuss what? The case study. Okay, so the background for today's case study is about a popular online market that have been collecting information about customers, customer ID, gender, age, annual income, and the spending score of the customer. So people usually, let's look at several online shopping platforms. Most of us use shopping platforms here. So please, if you are listening to me and you're following, could you go ahead and just name some of the shopping platforms that you use? Let me just go ahead and see that you understand what I'm talking about. Online shopping platforms, right? Online. I'll give you one example. I'll give you one. Konga, for example, is one. So let me go ahead and see people exactly. Amazon, Jumia, thank you. These are all online markets, right? So this particular online market, they have been collecting information about customers, like their customer ID. They have been collecting information like the age, gender, annual income, and the spending score. I'll go ahead and thoroughly explain what all this means. Okay, someone said AliExpress. I was not expecting AliExpress to be part of here, but that's really nice. This was Color Show. Okay, so the problem statement for this, right? The problem statement is we want to create a model that can predict how much the customer will be willing to spend the next time he logs onto the market. Imagine you have a model that can accurately say, oh, customer 254 entered our site, and this customer 254, is willing to spend up to 20,000 naira, right? What do you think I would do if I was the owner of that market and I had that model? I will now start, bringing ads within that price range, right? So the person does not get annoyed and then leave. Imagine somebody that wants to just spend 20,000 naira in their shopping and this thing, and you're advertising Rolls Royce to the person. Does it add up? It doesn't add up. So you can now go ahead and target what exactly will be within their price range, of the amount they're willing to spend. So that's the problem statement. We want to create a model that can predict how much the customer will be willing to spend the next time we log onto the market, right? Okay, so what data do we have? Remember I said step one is data collection, right? We want to create a model. We want to perform predictive analytics, right? Step one is what? Step one is data collection. So we have collected data and we have it in the next tab over here, data, right? So let me go ahead and show you the data. Let me not keep you waiting. So this is data that we have collected so far, right? But before I do that, let's go back here and let's look at what each of these columns mean. Let's go back and see what each of these columns mean. Okay. So the first column is the customer ID, is the unique identifier for the customer. There is almost no value, there's almost no meaning behind this, right? Because it's just a random number. It's just a random number. There's almost no meaning behind this because it is just a random number. The next thing we want to look at is the age of customer. The age of customer. We want to look at the age of the customer, right? The older customer spend more than younger customer. These are things we might find out along the way. Then after we look at age, we are going to look at the income of the customer. Now, the suspicion here is this. The suspicion is that income of the customer, will usually be proportional to the amount they're willing to spend. That's usually the suspicion. We can go ahead and confirm this suspicion in our data visualization phase, in our data analysis phase, where we are going to visualize the data and see whether there's any pattern. Between income and amounts that are willing to spend. Okay, now there's another one here called spending score. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with how credit cards work, but there's credit score where you can see whether somebody is going to be is good to borrow money to or not, right? There's something called spending score. Spending score is a number that summarizes the customer purchasing behavior. This guy in the past, he bought goods and he did not he ordered goods from our store. And when the delivery guy was on the way, he canceled the order. That kind of thing would lower the spending score of the customer, right? This guy, the second guy ordered goods, right? And he paid upfront before the goods came. This kind of customer is good for business. So the spending score will be increased. So this particular number, it summarizes the customer purchasing behavior and their overall demographic attributes, right? Their overall demographic attributes. Okay, so the last Two is family size. How large is the customer family? Yes, this online market somehow managed to get that information, right? Because think of it in this way. A family man with 3 kids will obviously buy more when he shops than a bachelor. Although some bachelors might spend more than family men, I don't know, but me as a suitable bachelor, I don't spend more than a family man. But that is the usual thinking. Now, all these thinkings, all these way we think, right? All these assumptions we make, we can check it out with the data. Also, we can check it out in the data. Is it actually true? Do people with larger family size, buy more or spend more when they come to shop on our platform than people with smaller family sizes? So the last thing in our data that we're going to look at is the amount spent, right? So this is the column we want to predict. You see, I put it in a different font because I want you to know that this is different from the other columns. This is the column we want to predict. This information was collected for previous shoppers. So over time, we're observing people that will come to our online market. We'll note their age, their income, their spending score, their family size, and then we'll now observe, okay, he spent this amount, we'll record it somewhere. And we did all that until we're able to get our data here. We're able to get our data here. So this is everything we talked about: the customer ID, the gender, the age, the income, the spending score, family size, and amount spent. Right. So this is everything we have regarding our data. Okay. This is everything we have regarding our data. Right. Okay. So what about now? The income is in dollars, and so is the amount spent. They're both in dollars, right? So this is everything regarding our data, understanding our data. So what's step one? What did you say? What was step one? Let's go back to our workflow. So far so good. What have I done? I've just discussed the data, what we have in the data. Now we have a workflow that we are going to follow. We have a workflow that we are going to go through with. I'm not going to get you guys lost. Trust me, this is a journey. I'm going to hold your hand. And every time you feel like you're about to get lost, we are going to come back to our workflow. We are going to come back where? To our workflow. Step one is what? Take a look at the data. We have kind of done that when we look at our data dictionary. But part of step one is remove test sample. Remove test sample. We want to create a model at the end of the day. And we want to be able to use that. We want to be able to keep quiz. Let me put it that. We want to be able to keep quiz for the model that we will create. Think of it like a child. We are training a child to understand how to perform addition, right? You will not just carry all the questions and give to the child, right? If you have 100 questions, you might teach the child how to solve 90, and the remaining 10 questions you keep aside for later. So that child, okay, we've just solved 90 questions. Yeah, child, come and sit down and solve this remaining 10 on your own. Let me see how well you have understood what I have taught you. So that's why we are removing the test sample. So let's go ahead and remove our test sample. Let's go back to our data. Our data currently, how many rows are present in our data? To check this out, there's a shortcut to get to the very end of your data, right? This thing keeps on going down and down. So there's a shortcut to get to the very end of your data, right? So what you just simply do is press Ctrl+Shift down, and you'll see everything highlighted to the very end. So look at it. There are 20,000 rows in our data. There are 20,000, let me put it this way, there are 20,000 questions in our data with answers. 20,000 questions and answers in our data. What are we going to do next? We are going to take, let's say we're going to take 200 out of these 20,000 questions and answers from our data. We're going to take 200 and we're going to keep it in a place called test. The remaining 1,800 we are going to use to create our model. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and just copy the last 200 rows. So I'll just come in here and pick this up like this, and then I'll just select the last 200 data points. The last 200 data points, I will just select that, right? So let me select up to 1,800. So here we go. Now I will copy this, or I will cut it actually. I will copy this, but we see. Let me go ahead and do that again. So get this to the very end, and then Ctrl+X to cut it. So I will cut this, and I will come here, and I will call this my test data. So let me explain what I've done so far, right? I'll paste this here now. Okay, so let me redo what I've done so far for everybody now to see, right? So let me start. I'm going to take the last 200 points, cut it, or Ctrl+X. I'll select from 0.1800 to 0.2000. Press Ctrl X. Press Ctrl X, right? And then I'll create a new sheet. This new sheet I will create, this new Excel sheet I will create, I will call it test data. Test data, right? Then I will paste it here. My test data, I will paste it over here. The idea is that when I am done with modeling, I will come back and, use this test data to check if my model is correct or not. So this test data is just to help us check if the model is correct or not. Okay, so now that we have test data, what are we going to do next? We know that the remaining data we have is our training data, right? The remaining data we have, obviously up here, is our training data. So what I can equally do is simply just say, rename this to be what? Train data. Train data, right? Rename this to be train data over here, down here. Rename this to be what? Train data. So let's go over this again. Train data, test data, right? All are all here right about now. So we have 1,800 points, different customers, 1,800 customers. We have it in our train data, and 200 customers we have in our test data. Okay, so the model, we want to create a model that can look at customer details and make predictions as to, okay, how much is this customer willing to spend? We have 1,800 customers that have spent before in our shop. We are going to give this data to the model. The model will learn from the data, and when the model says I'm done learning, we are going to now give it the 200 remaining customers and tell it, we start guessing. Now we have the answer to this 200 also here. We have the answer here also, but we are not going to give it the answer. We are going to give it just the questions this time around, and it will make its own prediction here, and then we'll now compare. So step one is what? Step one is take a look at the data, remove the test sample. Okay. Step two is what? Set up visualization. Set up visualization, right? So remember that when we're discussing, now we're not into Excel proper. Remember that when we're discussing, we said that there's a suspicion people with income would generally want to spend more, right? So we are going to use a visualization to confirm or to disprove that suspicion, right? So how do we create visualization? Let me now break Excel down for you properly now. So this is Microsoft Excel, as you all know. This is Microsoft Excel, as you all know. There are a lot of things here on my screen I need to let go of. Let me adjust my screen a bit. Okay. Right. So this is Microsoft Excel, right? And right about now, I am going to show you these are cells. All these here are all cells, right? All these are all cells here. And this is a column. This is a column. This is a column. You know, columns in buildings, they are just standing pillars, right? So this is exactly like a column. When you stack your cells, in a straight line down to the very end like this, these are columns. These are rows. These are rows. Look at this. This is a row. This is a row, right? So this is a column. This is a row. So over time, I'll start saying things like the customer ID column. You know that it is this column I'm talking about. The gender column. You know that it's this column I'm talking about. The age column. You know that this is the column I'm talking about. The income column, spending score, family size column, and amount spent column, right? Now, what were we saying initially? We were saying that, is there a possibility that income and amount spent, there's a relationship? The people that earn more spend more. That's just the question we're trying to ask ourselves. Is it true that people that earn more spend more? So how do we go about to confirm that relationship? Right, so we're going to use visualization. So Excel has things called ribbon button over here, right? There is the home button over here, the home button over here. The home button gives you a list of tools you can use, right? There is the insert button that also gives you a list of tools you can use, and so on. Okay, we can't cover everything in this class, but we'll cover the ones we need. We want to create a visualization. The tool we are going to use for that right about now, visualization right about now is in our insert, the insert part of our ribbon. We are going to come to what they call charts. Now, remember I told you that Excel offers you charts and graphs. So these are some of the charts that you have access to with Excel. Now, we need one particular type of chart. We want a chart that will show us income and amount spent. A chart that will show us income and amount spent and see whether there's any relationship between income and amount spent. So the chart that we need is called a scatter plot. Let me write it here. It's called a scatter plot. It's scatter. So it's called a scatter plot. It will take all these points and it will scatter it all over the place for you. So you see it. You will see it basically. So we'll come to inserts and we are going to use the scatter plot, right? So the first thing I want to do, how are we going to use the scatter plot? You will select the column containing the income, this one. You select the column containing the income, this one, and you select the column containing amount spent. So I'll go ahead and say Control Shift down, select everything, right, under income, then come here and select everything under amount spent. So I have selected two columns. The two columns I want to visualize, I have selected it. Income and amount spent. The next thing I'm going to do is come to my charts. The scatter plot I want is under here. I will click on it and you can see it will give you an example of all the charts you can use to create your visualization. Visualization we are creating is to explore relationship between what? Income and amount spent. So I'll come over here and I will click on just this. Okay, and boom, your visualization has been created. You can see amount spent versus income, right? You can basically see that this is, from here, you can observe one thing. So I want somebody to look at this. This is a plot between amount spent and income. Amount spent and income, right? I want people in the comments to tell me, what kind of relationship do you see happening here? Just what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you see a plot like this? We plotted amount spent versus income. We plotted amount spent here versus income, right? And I want you to help me out here in the comment section, right? What kind of relationship, or in the charts in the call, what kind of relationship are you seeing here? What kind of relationship are you seeing here? Okay, what kind of relationship are you seeing here? Right? Is there anybody that is, that can, just type it out, what they are seeing here? Positive. I like that word you use, positive. It means that you are proportional. Exactly. It doesn't give me the P's. I want to be using words that start with P. I don't say that other than words that start with P. Linear, okay? Linear, exactly. The higher the income, the higher the spend. See, all of you are in the same direction. All of you are in the same direction. Okay? Linear, somebody say linear, direct, proportional. Thank you. So this is the kind of relationship. From here, you can observe this relationship. And this is one of the many tools you can use to explore relationships in or between your data in Excel. Okay. I will reiterate. Somebody is asking if I can go over Benjamin say, can I go over the visualization again? So let me go ahead and just do that one more time for you to see. So the first thing I will cancel this. The first thing I did, Benjamin, is I identified the columns I wanted to work with. I identified the columns I wanted to work with. I knew it was income and amount spent. So I went on to select income by saying, I look at my mouse pointer is on income. I said Control Shift down. This is me selecting everything in income. Next up, I scrolled back up, right? And I selected the second one, amount spent. Now, Control Shift down. Okay, and this is it. Second column selected. What next did I do? I went ahead to say, go to inserts, go to charts, go to charts. The chart I'm looking for is under you see this one here. This is where it is. There's a drop down menu here, and you see example of the chart I'm looking for. This is what I want to get. I press this and to bring it out for me. So this is how I've just went over how to create your visualization. So is this step 2 or is this not step 2? This is step 2, which is set up visualization, right? Part of your EDA process. So when you come back here to workflow, you see that setup visualization has been checked. That box has been checked. This is part of the bigger picture, which is data collection and cleaning. We are not cleaning much today. We are just splitting our data train and test. We are not cleaning today. There's no missing values here, right? So data collection and cleaning, step 1. Step 2 is what? EDA, exploratory data analysis, or just for short, say data analysis for now. Data analysis. We have analyzed that data in just one particular direction. What did we do? We looked at relationship between amount spent and what's it called? Income. So this is a bit of data analysis done, and it's part of the setup visualization. Okay. So now we are understanding that what we basically understand from this. Let me copy this. I'm going to cut this now. I'm going to cut this, and I'll paste it in its own. I will paste this in its own sheet. So I'll call it sheet visualization VIZ, and I'll paste my this thing here. I'll paste it here so that if I need to reference it, I will come there. So what have we understood so far from our analysis? We have understood that there's a relationship between income and amount spent. We have established that understanding. We know for a fact that if you know the income of the person coming into our store, if you know the income demography, if you know whether this person is a high income earner or low income earner, we can anticipate how much he is willing to spend, right? We can anticipate how much he's willing to spend. Okay, now there are other several columns too, like the gender, like the spending score, like the family size. You can also go ahead and explain information about that too, as to whether or not the share in relationship to amount spent. But for the case of this class, we are going to assume that everything here is relevant to amount spent. Everything here, gender, age, income, spending score, family size is relevant to amount spent. Okay, right. Now, one last thing we want to do in cleaning our data is this. Now, okay, I know that we say we're not going to clean our data, but let's go ahead and do something that is kind of similar to cleaning, but it's called processing. It's called processing our data. It's called processing our data. As I was going around and telling you that, okay, there's gender, age, income, spending score, family size. Now look at these four. Look at these four. Look at these five. Gender, age, income, spending score, family size. Who can tell me the odd one out from these five? The odd one out from this five. Who can tell me which of the following is the odd one out from these five examples of for customer ID one? Look at the gender, look at the age, look at the income, look at the spending score, look at the family size. Who can tell me the odd one out? Gender, exactly. Gender is the odd one out. So why is gender the odd one out? Why is gender the odd one out? What makes gender different from the remainder? What makes gender different from the remainder? Who can now go ahead and tell me what makes gender different from the remainder, from the remaining data points in our data? Text. Thank you. It is text. It is text. It is text. So yeah, right about now, what we are going to be creating is called mathematical or statistical algorithms, right? Statistics. Statistics is mostly about numbers, right? The models we want to create, they mostly understand numbers. They mostly understand numbers. So we need to be careful, right? Whether the model type we are using is compatible with the data type we have, right? In this case, the model type we are going to be using, linear regression, is not compatible with text. So you may be lucky, some models are compatible with text, but in our case, this particular one is not compatible with text. So what are we going to do? We are going to swap text for numbers. We are going to say male is 0. Let me write this down here. We are going to say male is 0 and female is 1. And female is 1, right? Female is 1, male is 0. Okay, so let us go ahead and do that. Now, I will introduce you to another part of Excel that you should be excited about. Now, we are going to do that using, remember I said one of the key components of Excel, of Microsoft Excel is what? Functions and formulas. Functions and formulas. We are going to be using a formula here to replace 1 with female and 0 with male, right? So to do that, I will come over here. I will call this number gender. So it just simply means, instead of text, we're now having number here. So that's why I will just simply call this 1. 2, what I will do is this. I will come down here. Now, I want to write a formula. I want to write a formula. Pay attention. You don't have to understand the syntax. You don't have to understand what the exact formula is. You just have to understand the logic behind it. So look at this. If I look at this and I say this is male, I will put what? I will put 0. If I look at this, it is male, I will put what? 1. If I look at this, it is female, I will put what? 0. If I look at this, if it is female, I'll put what? I'll look at this. If it is male, I'll put 0. If it is female, I'll put 1. If it is female, I'll put 0. If it is male, I'll put 1. Now I'm saying if I'm giving you a clue. I am giving you a clue of the type of formula we want to type. The formula is called an if function. If the value we are looking at is male, put 0. If it is not male, put 1. Okay, if it's not male, it is female. So we are going to go ahead and do that too. To write a formula, you first start with equal to. Equal to is the first thing you start with. Equal to. Now I want to use an if function. So I'll say if this particular thing I'm looking at now, I will select this is equal to, then I'll go ahead and type it male. If this is male, put 0. Else put 1. So this is how you type it out. And see, 0 is here automatically. Now, if I drag this down, what happens? See, it is for each time it sees a male, it puts 0. For each time it sees females, it puts 1. You can go ahead and drag to the very end like that, right? Or not necessarily drag to the very end. You just drag it down here and then just double click on this edge, right? And then to bring it to the very end for you. I guess I have to just drag down. I have to drag down. Let me just go ahead and do that now. Okay. This is not plausible. Okay, So give me, I don't know why it's not dragging down on my end. Let me write this out again. If it is 0, come up here and then double click on this. It should work. Okay, I guess I'll just have to drag it down. Okay, so I'll just drag this down across all rows, but it's supposed to do automatically by itself if you have a table, right? So I'll just drag this down here and bring it, set it up alongside. This is where it ends. Okay, you drag it to the very end, and you would have everything filled out for you automatically. You would have everything filled out for you automatically. Okay, so right about now, what have we done? We have ensured that the odd one out problem has been solved. The odd one out, that problem has been solved. What can we do now? We can go ahead and Control Shift, copy everything here, or cut it. You can go ahead and cut it. And come here and paste it over gender. Okay, sorry, you come here and paste it, and you say right click, paste options. Okay, I guess just come here, Control Shift down, copy it, come back up here, and right click and paste special and paste values, right? So you have the corresponding values over here. Okay, then you come over here and delete everything here. Control Shift down, just delete the entire column here. You don't need this anymore, so just delete this. Right, so what have we done? We have successfully replaced all the numbers with all the texts, right? We have replaced it with number equivalents, such that when you see 0, you know it is a male. When you see 1, you know it's a female. Okay, so that's called data preprocessing, right? It's like a subset of data cleaning, but it's also a different part of predictive analytics. Okay, so workflow, setup visualization checked. Moving on to set up linear regression. Says, can I explain the if function? Okay, this was at 9:03. This was just recent. Okay, the if function is like this. I'd say I give you a condition, do not go out when it rains, right? Now, what you do as an individual is this: you check if it is raining, you stay indoors. Else, you go out, meaning if it's not raining, you go out. So that if function, I'm not going to explain the formula syntax itself. No, that's beyond the scope. The logic with the if function is that it will look at a certain value. For example, you can look at this value and say, if the family size is less than 4, right? It's a small family. If family size is greater than 4, it is a large family. So an if function would look at a condition, see whether that condition is true or false. Is it less than something or greater than something? Is it male or female, right? Then when it is done looking at it, depending on whether that condition is true or false, it will return a certain value. If it is true, it might return the value true, but it might return something instead of the value true. If it is false, it will return something relating to false. So for example, if I come here and say if equals to if this here is greater than 4. Now this is not greater than 4, this is equal to 4. But let me go ahead and say if this is greater than 2, so I can do for multiple examples, right? If this is greater than 2, say greater than, right? If it's not greater than 2, say less than. Okay, so when I do this, you see that it is greater than 2, so you say greater than. If I drag it down now to this third one, you say greater than because 3 is greater than 2, but see, less than because 1 is less than 2. Are you following? For 2 itself, 2 is equal to 2. 2 is not greater than 2. 2 is, but it's to say less than. It's to say less than because 2 is not greater than 2. So to say less than. We can go ahead and now customize it to even adjust for equal to also. But that is what's greater than, and that is what less than also do. That is what's greater than, and that's what less than also do. Okay, so that's what the if function does in combination with greater than or less than. Is it clear what if function does? Is it actually clear? Okay, so let's move on. We have now checked the second part. Let's go ahead and set up our linear regression model. So to set up your linear regression model, you are going to use another component of Excel. I keep on tying it back to what we discussed. We are going to use another component of Excel. This time around, we are going to move to the data analysis part of Excel, right? So you go to data, right? You go to data analysis over here, you click on this, and a list will come up for you. See, Excel is like Rambo. I don't know if you know who Rambo is. Excel is like Rambo, it's like John Wick, right? It has a lot of tools that it can use. Let me use that word, right? So there are a lot for you to use, right? So what we want to use in today's class is regression. We want to use regression in today's class. There's random number generator, there's histogram, there's covariance, there's ANOVA, there's descriptive statistics, there's Fourier analysis, highly mathematical stuff, right? But what we want to use today is the simple regression. We want to use the simple regression today. So we'll go ahead and select regression like this, and then you click on OK. Right. Another pop-up will come up. Another pop-up will come up. Right. This time around, you want to do regression. You want to do regression. Your model wants to learn. Your model needs to learn from data. Your model needs to learn from the input data and then be able to make predictions for the output side, right? So the learning materials, provide it to your model. Provide it to your model. You can't take a student to class and not put a book in front of the student, right? You need to put a book in front of the student. So this is the book we are putting in front of our regression students. It's asking for the input Y range and the input X range. The input Y range is the part of your data that contains what you want to predict, amount spent. That is your input Y range. Your input X range is the other part of the data that you feel will be useful for your model to make predictions. Number, gender, age, income, spending score, family size. So I'll come to input Y range, right? And I'll select this. I click on input Y range and I will select this. See that this thing changed, but we're not done yet. Or observe that this thing has changed. Then while I'm here, I'll press Ctrl Shift and down. I will select all under what amount spent. I will select all under amount spent. See, from 2 to 1,800. Okay, that is 1. Now I've specified my input Y range. I will go ahead and specify my input X range. I will go ahead and specify my input X range. I want my model to use the gender, the age, the income, the spending score, and the family size. And observe that I am excluding customer ID. Observe that I am excluding customer ID. Observe that I am excluding customer ID. I want from here. Observe it has changed here. It has changed down here. I want from here. So I'll press Shift side. I will select what I want. Then I'll press Ctrl Shift and down. Ctrl Shift and down. The down button to select the remaining rows. Okay. Good. We now have our input X range. That is 2. Step 3, labels. Labels. What does labels mean? Now look at the heading of these guys. The heading of these guys, I did not include it when I was selecting. When I was selecting, I did not include the heading of these guys. Had I included the headings of these guys, I would have checked labels. I would say that this first row is the heading. But I started from cell 2. Sorry, from row 2. I didn't start from row 1. So we'll leave labels unchecked. If you on your end, you select everything from here, right? You can go ahead and check labels, okay? Now, constant in 0. You don't want the assumption that, there is 0 constant. Let's leave that unchecked also, right? Now, when it is done, training, when the model is done reading, your model will tell you that it is done reading, and it will provide output for you. Those outputs, you need now in output options, those outputs, you need to specify where it will be on. I want it to be on this same sheet. I don't want to go away from here. I do not want to go away from here. So what am I going to do? I'm going to specify that my output range should be, let me come over here. I'll check output range 1. I'll check output range and I'll select here. So I'll say I want my results to be on this side, right? To be here, to start from here, okay? That is it. So all the result of my regression analysis, this is where it will be on. It will be here. Of my regression, it will be here. To start from here and to go down and go sideways like that. Okay, so moving on, residuals. So residuals are just errors that occurs when you make predictions, right? So I don't want to touch anything there. Confidence level, I don't want to touch anything there also, right? Confidence level is just, okay, the certainty your model, this experiment will repeat, what's the confidence value, right? I don't want to touch that also. So we'll go ahead and click on OK. So what do we specify? We specify the input Y range, the input X range, and the output range. What cell should my output be placed in? So I'll go ahead and I'll click on OK. Right. So you see that the cell I selected, that's where the output range started from C, and then it went down and then it went to the side. So let's come over to our output range. Let's come over to our output range, right? What are we looking at when we come over to our output range? Okay. So I'm just going to take my slider down here. Okay. Right. Now there are a lot of information. There are a lot of informations here. There's a summary output, obviously. There are some statistics, the arrow squared, the adjusted arrow squared, okay, standard error, and so on. let's not think about all that, right? What we want to look at, what is the most important thing for us here is these formulas, the formulas that we get, the formulas that we get. Thinking of it now, I would go back and I will repeat this experiment again. I will go back and I will repeat this experiment again. So Control Z, I will go back and repeat this experiment again. This time around, I would, specify this upper side also. So let me go back and repeat this experiment all over again. Right. So let me delete this. Let me delete this. Delete this also. So if you're not paying attention the first time, this is an opportunity to pay attention the second time. Okay. Let me go ahead and repeat this experiment all over again. Right. Let me go ahead and repeat this experiment all over again. And when I've repeated it, I will tell you why I am doing so. So we'll come here again, we'll come to data analysis. We'll come to data analysis, right? We'll come to regression. We click on OK, right? Now I will change my input range. I will change my input range. Instead of G2, I'll make it G1. I will make it G1 instead of G2. I'll make it G. Let me clear this out. So I'll come over here and I'll make it starting from here. Starting from here. Okay, this is input, so I'll run that and select all this. Yeah. Come over here. Select from G and then select everything down here. So I'm starting from the labels. Now I'm including the labels this time around, and I will show you why when I'm done with it the second time. Now for my input exchange, as always, I will also go ahead and include the labels too for that too. So select all the labels this time around again, Control Shift and down. Great. Now I will check labels because I selected my data with the labels. I will go ahead and check labels also. And output range is still the same cell. Let's not change that. And then we'll go ahead and click on OK. Right. Okay. So why did I go back and repeat this with that simple change? I will tell you why. Because when you are done with regression analysis, one thing often happens, which is the formulas, the mathematical formula that relates, your number, gender, your age, your income, your spending score, the formula that relates all this with amount spent, the formula is also reviewed at the end of the day. That formula is also reviewed at the end of the day. That formula is how you would calculate for future people. That our test, this formula is how we use, to get, future value for our test. So what is linear regression? What is linear regression, right? What is linear regression? Linear regression is a type of mathematical model that assumes that there's a linear relationship between the inputs and the outputs. There's a linear relationship between the inputs and the outputs. How did I see the data analytics tool? You come over to data up here and you click on data analysis. Now, if your license need any form of updating or any of that situation, you might not see it here until you get that result, and then you will need to install this also, right? Okay, so linear regression assumes a linear relationship between the input and the output variable. For example, if I say, let me use a very standard example: height of father versus height of son, right? Height of father versus height of son, right? Let me call this height of son here. Okay. So I want you to spot what the linear relationship between the father and the son is. Let's say father one. This is father one, father two, father three. Let's say father one is I would say 6 feet. Father two is 7 feet. Father three is also 6'2", right? Now that's height of father. Height of child, right? Let me say height of child one is 3 feet, right? This child are the same age, like 9, 10 years old. So child 2 is 3'5", and child 3 is 3'1", right? 3'1". Now, who can spot what the linear relationship between the height of the father and the child is? Who can spot what the linear relationship between the father and the child here is? When the father is 6 feet, the child is 3. When the father is 7, the child is 3'5". When the father is 6'2", the child is 3'1". Who can just tell me what is the relationship between the relationship between the father and the child in this particular case? Who can tell me what it is? Okay. Nobody is typing in the chat. Okay, so the height between the father and the child, basically in this particular context, is that the child's height is equals to 1 divide father's height divided by 2, right? Father's height divided by 2, or the father's height is equal to 2 times the child's height, depending on how you want to phrase it. Depending on how you want to phrase it, right? This is what the relationship is here. This is what the relationship is here, right? This is the relationship between the father and the child. Now, it is in the same manner. It is in the same manner. It is in the same manner that all these numbers, you multiply these coefficients up here. These are coefficients, right? For this particular equation, the coefficient here is 2. The coefficient of child is 2. You multiply 2 with child height to get father's height. In this one, coefficient is half. You multiply half with father's height to get child height. That's the inverse of this one here, right? It's in the same manner too. Regression will provide you with coefficients, numbers you can multiply with variables to get that output you want to predict. Numbers you can multiply with variables. So you multiply minus 14.7569 to get family, you multiply it with family size, then you add it to 1.5 times spending score, then you add it to 0.09 times income, then you add it to 4.35 times age, then you add that to minus 134 times number gender, and when you equate it, what this is telling you that you will get a prediction for the amount the customer is most likely to spend. So that is linear regression, like with Excel. Okay, so we have the models, we have the coefficients that we want to use, right? Let me go ahead and clear this up. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is what we've said. The 4 phases is what we have: the data collection, we have the EDA, we have the what. After the EDA, we have the modeling, right? And finally, we have the model evaluation. The model evaluation, right? So we have just done modeling. Let's come back to our workflow. In our workflow, you can see that we are currently on save coefficients. Save coefficients. This is how we are going to keep our model intact, right? So we are going to take those numbers. Those numbers are the important part of our linear regression model. So we are going to keep those numbers in our sheets at all times to use to make future predictions, right? So right about now, let's go ahead and evaluate the model before we apply to test sample. We evaluate the model before we apply to test sample. So evaluate model using MAD, right? So what is MAD? What is MAD? Okay, so let me go ahead and explain MAD in a simple context before we go ahead and apply it here. Let me go ahead and explain MAD in a simple context before we apply it here, right? So let me use a standard example of what MAD is. So let's say I'm predicting the height of let me know for my example I used. Okay, let me just use this our classic example here. Let's say me now, before we had a model, I was the one that was making that prediction. I'm suspecting that this guy is going to spend 10K. I'm suspecting that this guy is going to spend 25K. I make the prediction with my observation skills, not necessarily any there's no logic to it, just gut feeling. That's what I used to make my prediction, right? So let's assume that 3 people came to our shop. I say person A, person B, and person C. They came to our shop. This is person, right? Now, this is what my guess was. This is what my guess was, and this is what the actual value was. So me now, I was the guy working. I would be the person that would gauge if this particular person A will spend 10,000 naira. I'll be the one that will gauge the amount he will spend, right? So let's say I guess that person A spent 10,000 naira. Let's say I gauge that person B spent 20,000 naira. I guessed. Let's say I guessed that person C will spend 10,000 naira also. Now, let us say that person A actually spends 9,000, person B actually spends 19,000, person C actually spends 9,000, right? Now, let's say there's another person that comes into the shop that is also good at guessing. This second person is also good at guessing, so I'll call this second guess. Second guess. Now, second guess is also good at guessing. This should be 2, not at. So second guesser, our second guesser in the shop, right? This is a real life shop in this particular example. This is a real life shop. Okay, second guesser. Now, second guesser says that this person, the second guesser says that person A will spend 10,000. He says person B will spend 20,000. And person C will spend let me go ahead and say 9,000. Okay, sorry, person A will spend person B will spend 19,000. It's done. This guy is getting it correctly now. Person A will spend 9,000. So the second guesser came in and guessed correctly, right? Guessed correctly. Okay. Now, how do we know second guesser is guessing correctly? It's because we are able to compare. We look at the actual value and we are comparing by how far is the second guesser is from the value. By how far is me, the first guesser, how far am I from the value also, right? Imagine if the second guesser said say that this person will spend 2,000. He said 2,000 yen. He said 3,000 yen, and he said 5,000 yen. Now, for me, you can observe that I am better at guessing than the second guesser. I am better at guessing than the second person. I am better because my values are very close. My values are very, very close to what the person actually spent as compared to the second person that is coming into the shop to guess. You can observe that the differences between what I guessed and what the actual value was. For the first case was what? Was just if you minus actual from here, you get minus 1,000. So my first mistake, the first person, I made the mistake of minus 1,000. The second person, I made the mistake of minus 1,000. The third person, I made the mistake of minus 1,000. These are my deviations. These are my deviations. These are my deviations. This is how far I deviated from the actual value. This is how far I deviated from the actual value. Now, we don't really care about the minus because if this guy spent 9,000 and I guessed 10,000, if I guessed 8,000, if my guess was 8,000, it's practically the same mistake I made. I was off by 8,000. So we are more concerned about how off is my guess from the actual value. We don't care whether it is minus or plus. We just care about the actual gap between my guess and the value itself. So the minus, we can take it off and call this 1,000, 1,000, and 1,000, right? We can call it up and call 1,000, 1,000, and 1,000. Okay, so this is the mean absolute deviation. Now, this is deviations. Now, this is absolute deviations. Pardon me. This is now absolute deviation. Absolute deviations, because we don't care about the minus, so we are absoluting the value. This is absolute deviation. The last thing is to know how good I am at guessing. You can average all this to get one value. When you average this, when you say what is the average value here, on average, what is my deviation? When you add 1,000 plus 1,000 plus 1,000 divided by 3, you get an average of 1,000 also. So my mean absolute deviation is now 1,000, because this is exactly what mean absolute deviation is. You look at what the model is guessing, you minus it from the actual value, and then you remove the minus, and then you average everything together. That is the mean absolute deviation. Mean absolute deviation. Now that we have that established, right, what mean absolute deviation is, you minus the answer, you minus the model guess from the correct answer, you remove the, if there's a minus, you remove the minus, and then you average all the errors together to get your mean absolute deviation. Let us now go ahead and compute. Let us go ahead and see how far off our model is. Let's go ahead and see how far off our model is, right? We have done linear regression. Let's go ahead and see how far off this model is in making predictions. So to do that, I will take all these coefficients and I will now make predictions again, but this time on the trained data. I will make predictions on the trained data this time around, right? So the first thing I want to do is go ahead and write formulas now. I want to go ahead and write formulas, okay? So I want to write this is my linear regression model. This is my linear regression model. So I'll call this linear, okay? So this is equal to, I will say this, which is the intercept, this plus, now I'll start multiplying. I will start multiplying my coefficients with my value, So I'll say this one here multiplied by, this is the coefficient for number gender, 1. So I can put this in brackets also to make it a bit better looking, 1. Let me get this off. Okay, I'll put this in brackets. Okay, now the next thing we are going to add this to is we are going to add this to the coefficient for age multiplied by the actual age 2. We are going to move on again, and I'm going to multiply this, add this to the income multiplied by the coefficient for the actual income. Right, so multiply by the coefficient for the actual income. So income multiplied by coefficient of actual income. Okay, right, and then we're going to also multiply the coefficient of spending score and family size with the actual values that we have. Okay, so come here and say plus spending score multiplied by, the coefficients down here. Okay, plus the last one now is family size multiplied by the coefficient for family size down here. Okay, so this is us using the coefficients we got from our model to now make a prediction. See, the model is saying that when it took all the coefficients and multiplied it with all the value of the inputs, then added it together, it is now making the prediction that this guy will spend 1,797, but this guy spent 1,374. So we need to also track the error. We need to track this error that this model is making. We want to calculate mean absolute deviation now. So we need to track the error that this guy is making. So the error here is equal to amount spent, the actual amount spent minus the model's prediction. And this is our error. Now, like I said, we don't really care about the minus. So to remove that minus, we use ABS. ABS to remove the minus, okay? And then we have this right here. Right. So next up, we are now going to do this for every other customers in our training sample. Do this for every other customers in our training sample, right? Control Z. Do this for every customer in our training sample, right? So I will come over here and I will commence this. I will add a bit of special symbols here to make this stick, so I can apply it to the remaining training samples, right? So the remaining data we have in our training set, right? So let me go ahead and just add this special symbol so that we don't get any error along the way. Okay, this is just go ahead and add this up. Okay, so then I can now come down and apply it to every member of our training data. Every one of these customers, we now have our linear regression. Also making predictions, right? The next thing we are going to do is, find the error. What is the mistake our model is making? Look at, if you observe here, this model was so accurate. The model gets 9.7. The guy actually bought 9.7. So the model was accurate in some cases, right? But some cases, the model was off by $1,000, right? The model said 8,009. The guy spent 10,000. So the model was off in some cases also. So we can now average all the errors the model got to be able to get the mean absolute deviation. So equal to, I will say average. I will now average everything from here down here and to get it. So on average, the model is $1,000 off. On average, our model is $1,000 off, right? On average, our model is $1,000 off, right? Just on its own, this value doesn't make much sense. What we can now do is compare it to the average amount the customers are actually spending. And then we can now see, okay, how does it compare to the actual values that we are getting? So, okay, so basically, on average, our customers spend 11,000. On average, our customers spend 11,000 on our online marketing platform, and the model is making an average error of 1,000 error. So if you divide this by this, you see that the model is often 9 to 10% correct or wrong. Our model is often 9 to 10% wrong. So the model is good at predicting how much our customer will spend with a 10% error rate. So this is mean absolute deviation, right? This is our mean absolute deviation. Okay. It's basically looking at how good your model is at predicting, minusing what your model is predicting versus the actual value, and then averaging it for all the predictions your model made, right? So the model is usually off by 10% most of the time. So this is how we go about, evaluating model using MAD and saving coefficients. Okay, we have our test data. You can now come over and now start making predictions for your test data also, right? We can now come over and start making predictions for your test data also. So I can pick this up, right? First, I will pick this particular values here. I'll copy all my coefficients. I will copy all my coefficients. This is 0.21. So I'll copy all my coefficients. I'll copy everything. Copy it to my test data side. Just put it at the same place, 0.21. Just put it at the same exact place, 0.21, right? And then what I'll simply do is I'll just copy my formula here, my linear regression formula, and just paste it over here for my test data this time around. So I will just take this and paste it over here. Okay. Yeah. So here we go. We have our test data, and we have also made predictions for our test data. So I'll just come insert new row here. Let me make a bit of adjustments. Let me make this more readable. So I'll copy all this up down to here, Control C, paste it here. So we can have the headings also here too, right? We didn't put our headings when we move this. I will now simply come back here and just take my formula and paste it. Just take my formula and paste it. Okay. Control C up here. Control C, ensure it is copied. come to test data and paste it in here. Okay, and press enter. Okay. Come back. It seems to be a bug. I'm not going to remove all this here. I don't want this. I do not want this. Right. So first get this in here. This is not coming up. Okay. So I need to copy this. So let me copy this out now. Right. So okay. And let me paste it down here. Let me just come here and paste it in here. So come in here and say and paste it in here. Okay. So what happens to be what seems to be the issue? Okay. Right. Right. So let me go ahead and check this out. Okay. So, oh yeah, the issue is this. Look at our test. Look at our test. Look at our test. Our test data, right? There's still male and female. So we might need to go ahead and replace this with what? Number gender also, right? So number gender here also is still male and female. We need to go ahead and replace it to 0 and 1. So we can just come here and do the same thing again. If we come in here and say this is equal to male, we'll go ahead and put 0, 1, and then get this out. Then we can now get this to the very end. Get this in here, copy this, and then paste it up here. 1, and then drag this down. Let me just drag it down. I'll just drag it down to the 200 mark. Drag it down to the 200 mark. Right. Okay. Right. Control C, not Control X, Control C, and then paste just the values here. Paste just the values here, right? Paste just the values here. Okay, so now I see that the numbers have come. It is now able to make predictions. It is now able to make predictions. Let me confirm that each of these values are, the right values. We do not want any issues to occur. Okay, so the first issue that is occurring is that I'm not even using the right particular value. This is P. Let's get this out first. Select this instead, P23. Okay. Right. So we can now go ahead and make predictions of the test value and then go ahead to confirm that it is correct. Okay. So this is where I'll be calling the class to an end. And then let's go over what we've done. We've looked at the data, we've set up visualization, we've set up linear regression, right? We've evaluated the model using mean absolute deviation, right? We've saved the coefficients, and finally, we've applied to the test sample. Okay. Yeah, so pardon me that I was going too fast towards the end. That's because of the time constraints. We don't want to keep everybody here waiting. Okay. So we don't want to keep everybody here waiting. Okay. So usually I will expand this in much better context than today, but this was supposed to be in the space of a 45-minute session. But this purpose of the session is just to be able to show you, the possible potential of what you can do, with regarding Excel and predictive analytics and creating your first predictive analytics model using Excel. Okay, so that is it for today, and we have managed to check all the items of our workflow. So Chukwuemeka, back to you.
Fantastic, Ibrahim. Fantastic session you've had there. I don't know if you are still following up to this moment. Can you drop a 1 in the chat so that we know that we've been talking to people all this while? All right, so just drop a 1 so that I will know that we have been following up. Okay, I can see a 1 from Titilola, from Samuel, from Tapsiru, from Aramide, from Nifemi. Amazing. That's fantastic, right? So the purpose of masterclass, right, most times is to show us how these things are done and to show you that it is possible to do it, right? I can see some people are saying that we should take it the next time and so on and so forth. It's practically impossible to finish this exact case study in 30 minutes, teaching somebody in 30 minutes, right? If it's just for him to work on it personally for himself, it's just something that I can do within a couple of minutes. But to teach it so that we follow, something that we stretch to 3 hours and so on and so forth, which is the main reason why we are here. So I'm going to share my screen right now, Ibrahim, so that I can also talk about this other side. All right, fantastic session you've had. Fantastic session, Ibrahim. At a point, I was trying to think, okay, maybe it's time for me to switch and start coming to this data science to be with you fully, right? So moving on, Ibrahim has touched a lot on everything that we need to know regarding building a predictive model, right? He's touched a lot on everything that we need to know regarding who a data scientist is, right? And basically, these are people that make of data for them to be able to predict models, right? So they look at the historical aspect of data, that's the descriptive, look at diagnostic of, okay, why did that happen? And then they make predictive models out of it, right? Which means you can also look at maybe financial data and be able to say, okay, the company had profits of so and so in year one. They had profits of so and so in year two. In which line are they tilting to in year three, right? So these are things data scientists on day-to-day work on. And if you look at my screen, you're basically going to see the key learning areas that we offer in our own classroom. So first of all, we are going to start you off with statistics, and that's the basics of data science, right? If you understand statistics, it will then move you towards forecasting and predictive analytics using Microsoft Excel, right? So you see, this exact masterclass we had now, there is a preceding class before it, which will aid your own understanding of it easily, right? So fret not, don't feel like, okay, it's too much for me to fully immerse myself in. It's not that hard. Once you are put through the necessities, the things that you need to know, starting from that ground level of statistics, you can easily flow in this exact area. So after that forecasting and predictive models, we move to Tableau. You are going to use Tableau to do visualizations, right? And use it for data analytics. From there, we move to SQL. From there, we move to Python, then exploratory data analysis, machine learning, computer vision, GitHub, ChatGPT, and Microsoft Fabric. So if you listened very well when Ibrahim was speaking, basically you'd understand that these are people that work on data to build predictive models, which means there is 100% need for you in all organizations, because organizations want to be able to say, okay, we are in this exact line. What can we do so that in 2 years' time, we'll be in this exact place? And these are things that makes them to constantly be in demand, right? So there's so many tools that you're going to use. You're going to use Tableau, you're going to use Excel, you're going to use SQL, you're going to use Fabrics, you're going to use Python, of course. And these are things that we teach you in the class through a massive classroom learning for 3 months, right? So after that 3 months, you then have a 1-month internship program with us, right? Where we also give you case study for you to work on. So basically, so when people were saying that he was too fast, he was trying to put everything for you to understand in this short period of time. But basically, our class for data science runs for 4 months, 3 months immersive classroom learning, after which you'll be given a capstone project to work on. Then afterwards, you move on to the internship stage, where you also work on case studies that you are going to put in your GitHub to have a standard portfolio, right? So our classes runs on Saturdays in the morning by 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West African time. That's basically for people in EU, UK, and Africa. And then in the evening by 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. West African time. That should be 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain time, right? For people in Canada and US. Then on Sundays, we have what we call a self-paced watch me do it videos, right? Where you get to watch videos of facilitators like Ibrahim walk you through other models that is not covered in the class to get you prepped for the next classes, right? So which means if you have a class on a Saturday, on Sunday, you watch another video to prep you for the next class on Sunday, on the next weekend, rather. So these things we do to make sure that you become a full-fledged, full-stack data science, right? And the course is designed for beginners, right? Even if you have zero knowledge of data science, we tend to bring you from ground zero to the expert level. That's basically starting from statistics and getting you into the level of computer vision. So if you see my screen, you basically see the stairs that you need to climb for you to be able to get to this exact level, right? You are going to see the steps that you are going to climb to get to that expert level. From statistics, you're moving to Microsoft Excel. From Microsoft Excel, you are moving to Tableau. From Tableau, you are moving to SQL. From SQL, you are moving to Python. From Python, you're moving to data analytics and visualization. And from there, you are moving to machine learning, then computer vision. Now, we teach you all these things, right? So that we can position you to land a job, right? And this is something that we also promise that 1 month that you are done training with us, you must get a job interview, right? So I'm going to also walk us through other aspects of employability services that we also provide, right? Because one thing that makes people to struggle to land job is because sometimes they do what we call you put the cart before the horse. That's them getting certification before getting the competency and skill that they need. So I'm going to walk you through things that will make you to know that analytics is the best place to be. Personally, over the years, the last 4 years that we've been existing, we've helped over 2,000 students transition from classroom to their first job in UK, Africa, US, and Asia, and other areas, of course, right? And we have a track record of all this success. So just stay on. I'll still share some video of some of this success over the years, what people have to say about us. And of course, we have industry standard facilitators and curriculum, because people that we bring into class are people that already have the life experience of who a data scientist needs to be and what they do on a day-to-day basis, right? It's not basically people that will come to class and they'll be teaching you, okay, what is statistics? Statistics is this. What is Tableau? Tableau is this. No, this is going to be a full practical-based class that each class that you come to, you are basically going to work on a case study. And by the end of the program, you have a substantial amount of projects that you've already worked on that can now comfortably put in your own portfolio. Now, our training model is also blended in such a way that it accommodates everyone, right? So if you were not able to meet the class, which holds every Saturday, the classes are recorded and they are uploaded to the Google Classroom, where you get to now watch it over and over again at your own discretion. You have lifetime access to the Google Classroom. So what this means is that for people that were not easily following in class, that have maybe they have slow catch up, you can always refer back to the video and watch it at any point in time. And like I mentioned, our classes are tailored sessions to position you to land your first job, right? And this is also because we have partnership with organizations, and we also hold several other employability services that I'm going to bring up to us, right? So basically, we have a very layered approach that will make use of to make sure that you can land your job after you are done training with us. Number one is CV review sessions. Now, the truth is people struggle to land jobs because their CV cannot pass the applicant's tracking system. Now, these are things that will help teach you in the class how you can match your job to fit, how you can match your CV to meet the job that you are trying to go for. For example, you have SQL knowledge, that's SQL, and in the job advert, they said you need a postgrad knowledge, right? And in your CV, you left that SQL. If you get to the ATS is going to detect that you do not have postgrad knowledge. So it's very, very important for you to understand that you need to look at the job description and be able to match it to your CV. Most times it's just discrepancies in words that makes them not to even get to our CV because it doesn't pass that initial applicant's tracking system. So we teach you how to review your CV yourself so that you can on your own apply for so many jobs, as many as possible, so that you will be able to land your first job. Number two, employability service that we provide is also LinkedIn optimization. These days, LinkedIn is just like a walking signboard of who you are, right? I think the last time we had LinkedIn optimization session for the last cohort, after someone got a job, a recruiter reached out to the person, right? And these are things that we help you to tailor your LinkedIn to be able to suit your CV and also suit the job that you are trying to go for. We also have the Upwork optimization sessions where we help you understand the things you need to do on Upwork if you want to toe the route of freelancing and being able to do contractual jobs maybe you're in Africa and you want to do contractor job for companies in UK, US, or anywhere, can easily do all these things through the Upwork optimization session. Now, number four thing is how to navigate the job market, right? Like I mentioned initially, most people struggle to land jobs because they've trivialized job application. Once we go on LinkedIn and we're seeing vacancy, we're just clicking easy apply, easy apply, easy apply, easy apply. And by the end of the month, we are not even getting called back. Why? Because we've not done the necessary things that we need to do, starting with job match, right? If you match your CV to your job, you will now be able to get that. And then we also teach you the necessary places that you will get all those job vacancies, Indeed, and so on and so forth, so that you will have access to vacancies once they are dropping. And we have the job and interview prep session. So what this means is that if you get an interview invite, you can write us and we'll prep you for that interview, right? We'll walk you through everything that you need to know. I'll still play a video of someone that what helped him land a CEO role was the interview prep session that we had with him, right? And we also provide recommendation and reference letters. So if your school or country you're traveling to or another job requires reference or recommendation letter, we also provide all these things. Level 2 of this employability services basically is our weekly mentorship session. So what we do is every Thursday, we bring in experts in your area to come to the class and walk you through everything that you need to know regarding your life. So they're going to tell you, okay, these are the issues I faced during my own time. This is how I navigated it so that you will not have that same challenge. And of course, we also provide on-the-job support. So once you land a job and you still can't differentiate your left from your right, we'll give you hand-holding for 1 month so you can comfortably perform on that job. Then we can now say, hello, bye-bye. All right, number 3, which is basically our promise to you, is that 1 month that you are done training with us, we guarantee you 1 job interview. And that's basically because of the partnership we have with recruiters in UK, in Canada, US, and basically other African countries, right? And these are people like Havinash, Michael Page, Adeko Manpower. We have partnered with them that once we have students in our classrooms, once they are done with all the level they need to undergo, if they have need for a data scientist, they will come to us and we push these guys to them. And also have initiative of body mentorship. So because we've had students that have passed through this exact process we are passing through and they've landed jobs, what we do also is to bring them into the classroom so that they can be able to talk to you on how they navigated this exact thing during their own time, right? So they will serve as a direct body mentor for you. Now, some of us struggle to penetrate into the tech ecosystem because we were self-taught or we learned personally. There was nobody there and hold you and say, okay, this is what you need to do. These are the courses that you need to know. This is the continuous learning path that you need to take, right? For you to be able to break into this exact industry. So if anything comes out, MongoDB comes out, you jump and learn, Tableau, look at everything that comes, we are learning it, but we do not have mentors to tell us these are things that we needed to do. So you made us to, continue going round and round before we're now able to break into industry. But if you have a direct line body mentor, it can give you easy access for you to be able to break into this exact ecosystem that you want to get into. And also, we have our enhanced internship experience, where once you join the internship, first thing that we talk about is basically to build your portfolio. Because as a tech person, there will always be a skill assessment level, right? And they will always ask you, can we have your portfolio of the things you've done? And these are things that will also help to boost the level of experience that you have. For example, if you are in analytics, you get to work on data sets from the hospital, data sets from financial sector, data science from educational sector. So by virtue of working on all these data sets and case studies, you have touched all those experience level. So you can comfortably talk that, okay, during your time in the education sector, you were able to work on these projects. Or during your time in the health sector, that you worked on this project. And that basically because we provide you the case studies that you need to know. Like I mentioned, all these things seem impossible until it is done, right? So we have a couple of success stories here to help you understand that these things can be done. And if these people were able to do it, you can also do it, right? So I will talk about Ini Akpabio. So Ini was able to land a job as CEO of a tech company after joining Analytics, right? And he joined in October last year, finished January this year, and got a CEO job January this year as well. So before I will round up, I'm going to play the video of what Ini had to say. Now, in his case, it's quite substantial because when he went for his interview, he was invited for a managerial role. But on getting there and they saw the portfolio that he has, that means he worked on so many projects. He worked on so many projects while in class, and these things imputed them in his portfolio. They gave the role of a CEO, right? So he came for managerial role, but he left it a CEO role. I don't know who is shouting, "Oh my God, Ini." I don't know whether you know Ini or whether you have any story around it, but would love to also hear your own story. I think that is Titi Lola. Okay, yeah, fantastic, Titi Lola. All right, so we also have a couple of people that have also trained with us. So for Nathaniel did business analysis. So I'm going to jump that and capitalize on the people that transition to become data scientists, which is basically what we are talking about, right? So if you look at my screen, you also see Shade. Shade got her first job with the help of our interview prep and CV review sessions and mentorship, and she works as a data scientist in UK, right? So we also have a couple of other people that have had amazing success stories to say, right? So what you need to do is just go to YouTube and type analytics. Once you go there and type analytics, you are going to see all these stories that people had to say. So Zainab was able to land a data managerial role here in Nigeria with Shorty Connect after she completed her own program us. Now, for someone like Ikmat transitioned from being a full-time stay-at-home mom to becoming an analyst with the NHS with full visa sponsorship. So Ikmat is part of the people that I love her own success story because 3 months after she joined our own program, she got a job. But she was not able to take it because she had working hours limitations there in UK. She could only take 20 hours job. So 1 month, immediately she finished her training with us, she got 2 other offers. She was now able to now sit down and select the one that offers her basically what she needs. So there are a lot and lots of success stories that we have in stock. So also make sure that you put your name in the attendance form so that once this session is done, you will get access to this slide and also the recording that we use in this slide. So once you get it, you can on your own go through all the success stories and be able to tap from what these people had to say, right? Initially, it looks impossible, but trust me, it is 100% possible because this is what we have been doing for the last 4 years. We'll be helping people transition from their normal roles to becoming full-time data scientists, right? So our cost is basically friendly to everyone because we are currently offering a 33% discount for the full stack data science program, right? So instead of paying $750, you get to pay $500. Instead of paying 1,125 Canadian dollars, you get to pay 750 Canadian dollars. Instead of paying 625 pounds, you get to pay 425. And instead of paying 730 euros, you get to pay 475 euros. Instead of paying 100,000 naira, you get to pay 600,000 naira. And we've also structured this in such a way that if you want to be able to lock down this exact pricing, you can lock it down by making the first payment, right? And then before the 30th of May, you can now complete your payment. So by doing it, you've locked down the current price that's ongoing. And this is only available to the first 30 people to join these programs, right? And what happens most times is that once we are done with sessions like this, the slots are easily filled. So how do you join? So it's very, very simple. Once you click on this main Stack link, once you click on the main Stack link, it's going to take you to a page that you would use to make payments, right? So I'm going to share my screen so that I will bring that up immediately. All right, so once you click on it, is going to bring you to this Analytics Enrollment Center, right? So once you get to this Analytics Enrollment Center, what you simply need to do is to scroll down. Okay, as of last month, we offered International Women's Day Scholarship, and that was a 50% discount. So this month, we are offering early bird discount, which is 33%. So next month, you may not be able to see any discounts, right? So we always advise people to take advantage of this discount once it comes up. All right. So once you click on the link, you just look for the data science, full stack data science icon, and you click on it, right? So I've clicked on it, and it's bringing me to the checkout point. So because I'm in Nigeria, I'm seeing the pricing in Naira. If you're in UK, you're going to get your own pricing in pounds. If you're in US, you get it in dollars. If you're in Canada, you get it in Canadian dollars. So it basically picks your geotag and now gives you the currency of that exact location. So once you've imputed the 100,000, if you want to make the first payment to lock it down, you can decide to put the 400,000 so they can lock it down, and then click on proceed to pay. So once you click on proceed to pay, it's going to bring you to the checkout information where you simply have to put in your details. So my name is Chukwemeka Ekba, put my details, change my phone number to reflect the Nigerian currency, Nigerian flag. So these are just key areas that we need to touch on. Okay, what is going on? All right. So once this comes up, it's supposed to pop up a flag for me to change here. So it's up, and I'm changing to the Nigerian flag. This is Nigeria. So basically, and then I click on proceed. So once I click on proceed, it's simply going to bring me to the checkout out option where I have to choose whether I want to use my card. So if I want to use my card, I'll simply put the card details, put my card expiry details, CVV, and then pay. If I want to do transfer, I just click on transfer and then copy the bank account and then make payment. So this thing is actually very, very easy to navigate, right? Remember, like I mentioned, the discount is only available to the first 30 people to join the program. The first 30 people to make payments, that's the people that the discount is available to. All right, so I promised to play a couple of videos, so I'm going to play Ini's video first so that we get to hear what Ini had to say regarding his time with us here at Analytics. All right, so if you have any questions, prepping it so that once we are done with this, we'll jump right into taking your question and answering it so that we can immediately start to round up. Okay.
Preparation you got from Analytics and how it was helpful,
All right. Now, let me just quickly say that an hour is not enough for me to talk about all I have gained from Analytics. Okay, one day is not enough, right? Not enough. A whole day is not enough. So I could tell you for like 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month. Yes. So now the thing is this, for Analytics, all right, from day one, I knew that something was different about these guys. Okay, because prior my beginning the training, okay, I've done a lot of. I've been 10 years in tech, all right. So I've done a lot of trainings here and there. I have certificates to show for them, but I couldn't stand before. I didn't know how to put them together, right? I had a lot of things scattered here and there. I didn't know how to put them together. And then all of the session that we had, besides the regular Saturday live classes, we had, of course, the Thursday mentorship sessions. We had the Wednesday, just like this, and then a whole lot. So I was able to harness this times, okay, these resources together. All right, the CV optimization session, the LinkedIn. So I took my time, okay, went into LinkedIn, revamped myself, when I looked at my CV and I said, wow, I dumped my initial CV. I picked up a new one and I started afresh, right? So before then, I tell you that I could stay for a whole year, 2 years, 3 years without attending one interview. I sent my CVs for jobs, openings. I never got a call, not even a message say, to the next stage. But in January 2024, everybody mark my word, please. Between January 2nd and of February, I have had more interviews attended than I have ever had in my entire career.
Wow.
Okay, now let me also tell you, between January 2nd and then I have all the emails in my box. Okay, so I know what I'm talking about. In 1 month, right, I've attended a lot of interviews than I've ever attended in my entire life, because I took my time, looked up my CV, looked at my LinkedIn, and I pushed it out. A lot of people started looking up to see who I was, on LinkedIn. Prior to that time, nobody wanted to connect with me on LinkedIn, right? And then I tell you that
Right, amazing. Like you mentioned, if we live in for roughly 2 hours, right? So you have access to these things so that you can also get to watch and listen to what people had to say regarding their us, right? So before us up, I want to also play one last video from Ikmat so that we also get to hear what Ikmat had to say regarding her own stay. And after that, we will take the question and answer session immediately. All right, so let's hear what Ikmat had to say.
Hi everyone, my name is Ikmat, and I was with the March cohort in 10 Analytics, and joining 10 Analytics has been the best decision so far. For me, someone coming from a background of full housewife, because I had to stay back home to look after my child for 4 years, and then wanting to break into something new, wanting to go back into the workforce, wanting to place myself in the society for better job opportunities. So it was a lot. And then I'm glad that Analytics came along, and then they presented me with so many opportunities right in front of me, better opportunities. And then I'm glad I took it. And then also the advice of do not sell yourself short, that Effie is always saying, it is very, very valid, because place yourself right, don't sell yourself short. It's a very, very, very valid advice. In Analytics, they will hold your hands like a child, through the modules. You have the opportunity to go back and study. You have the opportunity to go back and practice. You have the opportunity to ask questions. You have people you can always go back to, even outside of class hours. It's the most amazing experience so far, really. And then another thing is the interview prep, guys. That is another very important thing. I did my interview prep with Mr. Mohammed, and it is the best decision ever, because it was like he saw into the future. He knew what was going to be asked, and I'm glad that I wrote down all the things he mentioned. I went back to practice, and then when it was time for the interview, it was like everything he mentioned, it was just they kept on. And then when I was answering those questions, I was so confident, because I already practiced. I did an Excel test, I did a maths test, and then they were really impressed. And another thing is, guys, it may not come as fast as you expect. Definitely you are going to get some no's, and then you may begin to think you're not good enough. You are good enough, yes. The no's will come, but always take it as a basis for learning and development, because after every interview where I got a no, I always make sure I get a personal feedback. So I work on those feedbacks for my next interviews. And yes, it worked. It really worked for me, because I got my first job 3 months into the program, my first job. But I couldn't take up the job because I was a student, and I was only eligible to work 20 hours. So I couldn't take up the job. 3 months later, I got 2 jobs with full visa sponsorship. And guys, all the other no's before the 2 jobs prepared me for the yeses I got. So yes, the no's will come, but do not give up. because you always have analytics to go back to. They are the best and the best thing that's ever happened to me. And then yes, and they are the most affordable. The most affordable one I've come across so far. And that's a very good advantage. So yes, analytics for the win.
Amazing, amazing. So we've heard what Ini had to say, and we also heard what Ikmat had to say. So if you are still in doubt, you can also head to our YouTube page and just type analytics, and you will see all the amazing, amazing success stories that people had to say. Remember, also make sure that you fill the attendance form so that you can have access to this slide and also the recording of this session so that you can be able to, go over it after we are done. Our next class is starting on the 4th of May, 2024, which means it's in a couple of weeks' time. And remember, this discount is just for the first 30 people to join this exact cohort, right? It's for the first 30 people to join this exact cohort. So if you have any question regarding how you make payments or regarding the program or anything, this is the time for you to now ask us. Okay, I can see a couple of chats before now. Titi Lola, hi, I'm interested in enrolling, but I think my program may have to be customized because I'm not a novice as such. I have selected one-on-one consultation on Tuesday. Would I get the invite? Fantastic, Titi Lola. You will get the invite. If you fill that exact form and selected that you want to be able to speak to a one-on-one person, you will be invited to the exact clarity session. All right, but what I would advise you to do most time is to be able to use the first payment option to lock down this exact pricing, and then you can come to the clarity session so that not because you're waiting till Tuesday, then the slot is down filled, right? And then after your clarity call, you not have the access to the discount anymore, Titilola. So our advice to lock it down with the first payment option, and then maybe after your clarity call, you can now complete the payment before the 30th of May. Okay. All right. I think there was another question. Who do I talk about my starter pack from Gloria? Okay, that has been answered. All right. So if you have any question regarding the program, regarding data science, just with the show of hand, just raise your hand and we are going to take your questions. Okay, so the floor is yours. Either you raise your hand and I will give you the mic, or you drop it in the chat box and we would pick it up from there. So we will help clarify the question that you have. Okay, let's have it. Okay, we have Adeniyi, we have Ayo, we have Ayokumi, we have Chwebuka, we have Clement, we have Daniel, we have Peace, we have Ellis, we have Eunice, Gloria, Ifolu, Olajide, Awoyemi, Olusegun, Oluwatobi, Samuel. That's 3 Samuel here. That's fantastic. All right, and then we have Titilola and we and the Zoom user. Okay, so please, if you have any question, just use the raise hand icon and we'll ask you to speak. Okay, again to Peace, I'm going to ask you to unmute now. All right, I've asked you to unmute Peace. You have the floor.
Okay, hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
So I just wanted to ask some questions. This one, is it the same thing with Ephemena's own? Because I'm seeing new faces, Chukwebuka and the likes. I don't know if it's the same thing. Ephemena and Adeza.
Yes. Yes, it's the same thing, Peace. So if you joined us when we started by, talking about how we got here. And we started with who are founders and co-founders, and that's Adeza and Ephemena, like I currently have on my screen. So we are all part of Analytics.
Okay, so secondly, what's really making me to want to sign up right now is this. I just heard the testimonial I heard, because sincerely I've been trying to learn all this. I've been trying to learn coding. I came to the UK to study, data analytics. But I just studied it to just pass and just get my grade, which I came out with a merit. But guy, I've not been able to, I'm not even ready to work. My friends are telling me, let's go, let's go. I'm not ready to work because I don't know Jack. Okay, it's not like I don't know Jack, yeah. Okay, but I'm just being very sincere. So I don't even want to go into say like, but I'm ready to do this thing. I'm representing right now. I'm working like I'm very busy at work, right? So I'm doing something right now, but it's not tech. Okay. So I don't know if this thing is a good idea for me because I'm thinking of signing up. I've just been joining in to listening and, but that lady said that you people, you are very kind and, you hold somebody's hand and kind of, not judge the person, because most of my colleagues that have done this thing, they say it's just like watching a YouTube video, It's just like watching a YouTube video and you don't really learn stuff. And me, I don't want to miss any class. So I won't be able to join now. When I conclude, I'll probably make some payments and just wait for the June cohort when I'm able to stabilize at my new job, But I just want to know if it's really worth it because I asked a question yesterday. Is there anything I can do that doesn't concern coding? Everything that other person, that guy was saying, at the point I wasn't understanding anything again. But I want to learn. I don't know what's it. But it just became too much, man. It just became too much.
I understand you clearly, right? So basically,
I don't know if I can do this thing like.
Basically, you can.
It's not something I want to do and forget about it. I want to do it and get a job like immediately.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I can.
It depends. Yeah, I think you may have to sign up to that one-on-one clarity call so that we'll have a one conversation with you and clear every doubt and help you select the exact program that will fit your own style. Because we have to take a look at your historical background, what you did first degree, what you studied, places you've worked, so that we can be able to figure out the line that you are currently moving towards. And then if it's towards the non-code areas, we have business analysis, we have Scrum Master program. Also, Scrum Master basically is the one that is 100% non-code, right? So it depends on where we have that one-on-one conversation with you. We can now help curate an exact program that will fit your own pattern. But what I would advise you to do, please, is even if you intend to join in June, is to, because we'll have 1 month deferral option, which means if you make payments in April to lock down the exact pricing, instead of starting in May, you can defer that you want to start in June, right? So by doing that, you've locked it down with this exact pricing. Because we've had people in the past that had this kind of conversation and we didn't hear from them again till that 1 month. And when they came, the price has changed. And right at that exact point, our hands were not tied to help out. So we always advise people to take advantage of the pricing at the exact points that they meet the master classes. So to take advantage of it, you can now defer it for 1 month and now join at your own better time. But you don't have anything to worry about this. Personally, we handhold people who have participant relations officers that their own role is basically to be calling you, to be reaching out to you, peace, you missed class today. What happened? Then within the week, another person is calling you, peace, have you watched your Watch Me Do It video? Have you watched the recordings because you missed class? So we do all these things because we want to give you the full value that you paid for. So you don't have anything to worry about. We got your back fully. Okay, so any other question from anyone? How can I get the one-on-one meeting? All right, so my colleague just dropped a link. Aimo just dropped a link. So just follow that piece so that we'll be able to have that conversation. Fantastic. So any other question from anyone? Titilola, customized, because I'm not a novice. I have said the one. Okay, I think I've addressed that. So basically, we would have to take that in a one-on-one conversation. But like I always mention, try to take advantage of the pricing now with this exact discounts. Because the truth is, the classic session is on Tuesday. Today is Sunday, right? There is 48 hours interval before we get to that exact time. And before then, what happens once we're done with sessions like this is that slots are taken. So I advise you to lock it down with this exact first payment option. And then after your clarity call, when you are clarified, you can now fully make payments and complete and get your welcome kit. All right. Do we have any other question from anyone? Any question from anyone? Just with the show of hand, I'll give you the mic. There is an option for you to raise your hand. Just use it, click on the raise hand icon, and then I'll give you the mic to talk to us. Or you can drop it in the chat box and I'll pick it from there and address it. Okay, so we are running out of time. If you do have any question, the best time to speak up is right now so that we can, converse with you and be able to address that exact concern of yours. Okay, there is a drop in the chat. Let me quickly look at it. Is it easy to get a job in EU country after the program? Example, Germany. Fantastic question, Samuel. So Samuel, the truth is that tech is the same thing everywhere. The same Excel you use in Africa, the same Excel you use in EU, using Germany, UK, Australia, as the case may be. Excel doesn't change, right? Power BI doesn't change. SQL doesn't change. Tableau doesn't change. Statistics do not change, right? So far as you have that exact skill level and you have all those projects in your portfolio to show proof of work, you will always get the job, right? Because one thing that makes people struggle to get roles in tech is that you just say, oh, I have Excel skill, I have Power BI skill, I have Tableau skill, I have statistics skill. Show me your portfolio, and you can't. Then you do not have anything. Because as a tech person, number one thing that you will always use to show proof of work is your portfolio, right? And it's from all those projects, all those case studies that you work in the class that we are going to help curate and put in your own portfolio. So that at any point that a recruiter asks you for you to present your own portfolio, you'd have something to show. So is it possible to get a job in Germany? Yes. If I scroll through my slide, I'm going to show you someone or people that have secured jobs in Germany as well. So we have students across the globe rather, because tech is universal. It's the same. For example, for analytics right now, we have people in Canada, we have people in Africa, we have people in UK, right? And we are all working for analytics. And it's because it's the same thing that we do, because tech is universal. If I'm in UK, it's the same Excel I'm teaching, it's the same statistics, it's the same Power BI, SQL, as the case may be. If I'm in Africa, it's the same exact thing. So it's a universal language that once you have it, you can comfortably speak it from any part of the world. All right, thank you for that, Samuel. So another Samuel asked, are there scholarships available? So at the moment, we have a 33% discount off. And that means instead of you paying 900,000 naira, you get to pay 600,000. Instead of you paying $750, you get to pay $500. Instead of you paying 1,125 Canadian dollars, you get to pay 750 Canadian dollars. And instead of you paying 625 pounds or 730 euros, you now pay 425 pounds or 475 euros. So these are all discounts that we've already given, right? Last month, we did International Women's Day scholarship, right? Where we slashed all pricing by 50%. But that exact scholarship has ended. Currently, what we have on board for this month alone is a 33% off. And I'll always advise people to take advantage of this discount at any point that they meet it. Because by next month, I'll 100% assure you that it's not what it's going to be by then. Okay, so any other question from anyone before we round off? We are approaching 10:30 p.m. West African time. So if you have any question, the best time to ask it is right now. So I am going to wait for a while and know if there's any question from anyone. With a show of hand, we will take your question or you drop it in the chat box and we are going to answer it. But in the absence of any question from anyone, I think it's amazing for us to call it a day right now. So like I mentioned before, try and take advantage of this exact discount to get and transition into the tech ecosystem, because the truth is tech has come to stay. And the part of people that is going to make that change includes data scientists, people that are going to work on predictive models, people that are going to be able to say because my company had a loss last year, and that's because we did this or we did that. We need to correct these things from this exact angle so that by next year, we'll be posting profits. And if you can't be able to make such decisions for a company, you'll always be in demand. And from World Economic Forum reports, there are some certain jobs that are meant to stay, right? And these are data scientists, these are data analytics, these are business intelligence people, these are scrum masters, these are data engineers, and all the courses that we offer here at Analytics all met the criteria for this exact thing. Okay, so I think we'll be rounding off here and see you guys in class. I hope to see everyone. If you are still having difficulty, if you are still having doubts, just move to YouTube, type Analytics, go through our YouTube page so that you can see a lot of success stories from everyone that we have trained, so that you will also have a success story to tell when your own time comes. Thank you so much, guys, for being with me, and have a wonderful night rest. See you in class, and bye for now.